Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Where I Went Wrong. And in this edition of Where I Went Wrong, I'll be doing UFC 274. Let me make sure that's correct. Yep, UFC 274, Oliveira versus Gaethje. So firstly, where I went wrong is posting this video late. In reality, this video should be posted like as soon as fights wrap up. In reality, it ain't no great, matter of fact, there's no editing or nothing going on this. It should be posted as soon as the fight's end, like just drop it. It should be. And yeah, so late posting, that was Monday. So yeah, Sunday, Monday. Matter of fact, this might be Tuesday. This is Tuesday. Yeah, this is definitely Tuesday. But he was late posting it and should be on it. But I've been saying this time and time again. Sometimes I'm on point, sometimes I'm not as far as these. But yeah, about a minute into the video. Yeah, so for the card, I went 9-5. A good rebound from last week when I was 6-5. So 9-5. Pretty solid card. But nonetheless, still got some wrong. And even if I went perfect, there's something to dig at. So 9-5. 9-5 with 9-14. Yeah. So let's get started. Where I first went wrong, that's wrong. When I first went wrong, Journey Newson versus Fernie Garcia, bantamweight division. So it was my first of 5 losses. But this one, it was more so I was leaning up to momentum. Not that Garcia necessarily had any real momentum. Definitely inexperienced, but I just thought Journey Newson wasn't that good. It wasn't like, oh, some other guy was in conversation definitely eating me up about this even before it went through. But hey, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose these ones. It's not like there was no bias or anything in it for Garcia. I don't know who Garcia is. Well, I'm not saying like I don't know him personally. I don't care for him to win. Like I'm not saying I'm the guy. Like I have no extra biases to any guy in this fight. Both of these guys get knocked out 5 times and be banned from the UFC. I would not care. Like it was no bias, but that's just a little reply to that. But yeah, with Frank Garcia versus Deuce's fight, it was just a case of momentum. I feel like Garcia had a little bit better boxing, better combination. I feel like Newsom was kind of leaned heavily to power and these short shots. Like he worked on his kick game and made some improvements in timeout. Got a jiu-jitsu black belt. I seen him get 2 takedowns. Had scored 0 takedowns in his UFC career prior. Hadn't defended a takedown in his UFC career prior. So yeah, so he worked on that. Got 2 takedowns. He worked on that. Like he worked on his mental health. But even that being said, I was like, don't really feel like it was necessarily a wrong pick to go with Garcia. And I said like decision, went to decision. Obviously the guy I picked didn't win. Looked good in the first round, won the first round. But that experience factor came in heavy. Been in UFC, taking his bruisings, and he was able to use that experience to win the second and third round. And also attack the legs. I saw that Garcia really don't defend leg kicks that well and don't really defend kicks that well. And he was able to use that against him. But yeah, I guess experience won this fight. That was the case. Like Newsom made some improvements to the mental health. Like did some adjustment with his mental health and made some adjustment with his overall game. Was able to secure takedowns. It looked solid. Still won't say that black belt is so validated yet, but he was able to do enough to maintain the spot. As far as Garcia, like kind of in the hot seat right now. I feel like Newsom, even looking good, making those improvements he did. I really still feel like Newsom's on the bottom end of the division for the most part. Reality, on the bottom end of the division. And then when you lose to a guy like Newsom, you kind of got to question where do you stand in this division. Are you ready for the UFC or are you not? But I don't know, like Newsom guys still got a lot to improve. Garcia still got a lot to prove. But yeah, I guess it is one I could have favored experience, but a lot of times it's easy to favor momentum. You got a guy that's just really not all that good. I'm gonna say it again, like Newsom not all that good. You got a guy coming in, some fresh air. But I guess nothing I can say like both not really far apart in age, started around the same time. Newsom has fought better competition, so it's not like case that Garcia's is such a bright, young, great talent, and Newsom's just old over the hill guy. That's something I got to factor out. Look at a lot of times. Like this guy like 35, 36 on a losing streak, like a big losing streak, and this guy is such a bright talent. That's probably where I could look more to try to not fall into that. But ultimately, that pick I feel too bad about either way, and like still gonna be looking at Newsom as a guy I could fade or bet against, or Garcia now is a guy I could look to bet against. And especially against, like I said, I'm not gonna get too much into that, but I'm seeing a lot of things especially a lot of matches, a lot of things I could look for in other fighters that they can utilize to beat either of these men right now. So a loss, but I can see wins against both these guys in the future. A lot of wins both against guys in the future, but we shall see. Next fight was a good one. I had Godinez over Karolakis. Godinez dominated. It was not close at all, but decision nonetheless. Perfect pick by those standards. By general standards. Now to our next fight. Yeah, it was Vergara versus Rodriguez. CJ Vergara versus Rodriguez was my second pick. I got wrong. And I guess it's similar to the Newson fight, Garcia fight. You got a fresh talent coming in off the Contender Series. Rodriguez. Like I feel like he had all the parts, and I feel like Vergara took. I didn't think he would have that grappling success he had in that second round. I really thought Rodriguez mostly having the grappling success. I didn't think Vergara really had much, but he did able to get a good bit of success in the second round. But yeah, it was like a close fight. Could have went either way. It really could have went either way. Vergara grabbed the cage a lot. I feel like Rodriguez looked good early, but faded kind of second, third kind of toss. Like ultimately, I feel like Rodriguez should have won the fight, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Close fight. It wasn't a robbery. Vergara did what he had to do. And I feel like that second round was crucial in him getting the victory. That second round should never happen. But yeah, Rodriguez, young talent. I like his style, like the way he establishes distance, like the way he fights long, and he's pretty technical, pretty sharp. Just got to work on not being so lax. At the end of some of these combinations, not really absorbing work, and maybe some work on off his back a little bit more. But nonetheless, go in for Vergara. Clayton Rodriguez, I don't feel like he loses too much off this loss. I think it's a lesson. I think it's better to lose now if then lose further ahead because then you got more setbacks. But right here, he can lose this fight and go on a 5-fight winning streak, and everybody gonna forget about this one or say, oh, he got so much better. That was a different time. And matter of fact, he should have won that one. So probably better now than Vergara's supposed to things in him. And I feel like Vergara could potentially probably pull off some more upsets or some more minor upset. Like he's a guy that seemingly takes a little bit of time to get it going in these fights, especially at a higher level. Maybe outside the UFC, he's running through some guys. But at this level, it seems like he definitely kind of gives up that first round. It kind of takes some time to come on. Like you even saw in his fight prior to this one, his last fight against Osborne. So yeah, you saw his fight against Osborne. It takes some time. That's all I'm gonna say. It takes some time for to get it going. So depending on who they match him with, that could be something to either pick him against, like against a guy that's gonna fade late or has a tendency to fade, or needs a finish or needs something early, big to secure fights. Probably go with Vergara versus a guy that can, start a good pace and maintain a good pace. Probably gonna pick them against Vergara. I feel like Rodriguez, fresh face, a lot of these fresh face guys, they are solid, but they aren't able to carry their skill set all the way through the 3 rounds to get the decision, or they aren't able to make the right adjustments to get the decision. But like Vergara going there with some more experienced guys, they're gonna do what needs to be done and be able to carry that through 3 rounds and be able to complete the follow through. So good win for Vergara, but it's still concerning that he needs time to settle in before he can really start to get going or really start doing stuff like. So y'all having this pattern to give up first rounds. It's gonna be a guy that's gonna take that first round, they're gonna keep it going and take you all 3 rounds and beat you. So things to look at. But I definitely feel like Rodriguez can make a lot of improvements and go on to be a good talent. Vergara, I think he can shake up some things a little bit. Don't really see his ceiling all that high in the UFC, especially with that pattern. I don't think his skills are all that great, but he's tough. He brings it. He's game. He's skilled. Just don't think he's all that skilled or all that talented. As far as I'm saying, like to be a upper echelon in this weight class is all I'm saying. Not saying he's a scrub or bum or anything like that. It's saying as far as to really go far and climb the ranks to as high as they can go, can't really see it. Next fight, Tracy Cortez versus Melissa Gatto. And I'm just gonna say right out right here with this one. This is my third one I got wrong. They were like really close to right here, or a lot of them on the prelims. I think most of them except one on the prelims. But Cortez versus Gatto. Yeah, with Cortez versus Gatto here. I usually would have favored Cortez if I was looking for a dog. Looking for dogs on the card. Because hey, some people are like, oh, you only bet favorites. You only do this. You only do that. So like, and even then, it was that factored in kind of a little bit, but more so the fact I didn't like Cortez's last outing with Keish coming into this one. But I guess she made adjustments. And typically, I would favor a positional grappler over a submission grappler because it's some submission grapplers. I mean, yeah, so like submission first grapplers or attack offensive grapplers, I guess, positional versus offensive grapplers that will give a position to go for attacks that, they will beat a lot of these positional grapplers. In most cases, in MMA sense, the positional grappler will win probably like 90% of the time. Generally, not just like some specific fighters, they're like, individually, like some fighters, their odds are obviously differently, but you look at just the whole scope, like generally not just focusing on one fighter in particular, probably like 90% of the times, the positional grappler wins every single time. 90% of the times. There's some rare occasion they catch a submission, or rare occasion something happens, or rare occasion something else happens. Or rare occasion the judges favor the submission aggressiveness over the positional. So like very slim chance. So I typically would have favored Tracy Cortez in this one, but I like that Gaethje fight. I feel like Gatto could have touched her up more on her feet, but I guess the thing where you could say draw weaknesses or draw like patterns or draw things in there was that Gatto followed her back, very active, very good guard, and I know also say on Cortez side, she trained with she rolls around in the bed 24 hours. I'm saying not 24 hours, but a lot with Brown Ortega. She had a gym. She's a solid wrestler herself. So she's been with a lot of solid grapplers. Her gym has some good solid BJJ coaches, so not new to her. And she did a good job with defending submission. So it's not just all on Gatto's side, but on Gatto's side, Gatto gives her so many takedowns. But props to Gatto, she got 2 takedowns on a solid wrestling Cortez and took her back, I think, several times. So solid on Gatto's side, but ultimately spent too much time on her back, and Cortez has been on top. And that's really what won the fight. Cortez been on top and landing a little bit more shots. That's really what won her the fight. But Gatto clearly was going for the finish more, looking for the more finishing stuff. But Cortez won clear enough. Like I said, having that top position. It's a positional battle a lot of times in MMA. And if you're on top, you're winning. Even if you're not really attempting to fight any attacks or fight any submissions, just by being on top and riding at, you're winning. That's why, again, why 90%, like in MMA current standards, to positional fighter, wrestler, etc., wins 90% of the times in these cases. Not just off the top estimate. I feel like it could be higher, it could be lower, but it's roughly pretty accurate. The margin for error is not that far off, or the varying margin. But yeah, with Cortez, like I said, I think like her last outing, I feel like Gatto could attempt, touch her up on the feet. I did have a concern that she does give a lot of takedowns, and she did give up some takedowns pretty easily, and then was on her back for a large portion of the time after giving these takedowns. Like she was not really in no interest to get back to her feet and continue to walk Cortez down. So yeah, I guess the thing with Gatto is Cortez had the skills to neutralize Gatto's grappling or submissions off her back. From the top position, Cortez had a position to neutralize Gatto's submission game for the most part. And Gatto would give up these takedowns. So Cortez, in the future, I guess, I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing I could say with that one. Like, yes, she could do this, yes, she could do that, but she's going to give up takedowns, and she's going to be so adamant about standing on her back and going for submissions, and that's going to ultimately lose her fight. Like, she could come closer, she'll have her moments, but ultimately that's going to lose her fight. But yeah, I guess it's a mistake there. Just stick to what you know, stick to what the patterns, just stick to your success rate, unless it's something clearly evident. And that one close fight against Gaethje clearly wasn't all that. And Gaethje went on there to Bellator, defeated the former champion Ilima-Lei Macfarlane, who was one of the brightest prospects outside of UFC in women's MMA. So clearly, Justin Gaethje ain't all that bad. So yeah, it is what it is. But I guess I'm gonna stick back to my current pattern, my previous usual pattern of most cases just favor, unless it's a very, 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 very good reason, stick to the positional grappler over the submission grappler, unless it's like a very, very good case. So that was my third loss. Fiallo came through, perfect first round knockout. Almost, he had me concerned there a little bit, but right one. Blagoy Ivanov versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima, another right one right here. Not going to say too much about this one. I expected like a submission or knockout from Ivanov over a Tyra Rogerio de Lima, but could have went the other way. I said either way. Could have went the other way, to be honest. But so I'm gonna stop a little bit to give Rogerio de Lima his roses. Like, he proved himself to be more than the first round fighter, but then again, Blagoy Ivanov ain't like the craziest pace pusher. He's a guy that kind of holds you against the cage, and for the most part. So yeah, but props to Marcos Rogerio de Lima. He got a takedown in the crucial third round. So he's shown himself to be more than a first round finisher. So I got to give him his roses. Props to him. He lost. I'm glad he lost. I'm glad my guy won. Could have made my card worse, but he didn't. He lost. The judges saw it the other way. But props to him for showing himself to be more than just a first round finisher. I don't know where that's going to take him in the future. I don't know where it's going to lead me as far as prediction wise against other people, because there's definitely a lot of people in the division he could beat. So, and I definitely showing the fact that he could extend himself past a first round against a guy that's actually pretty decent says a lot, and that's a good improvement. And yeah, so I'm gonna look my eyes on him a little bit as far as betting, whether it be for him or against him. Either way, I feel like his stocks to me have improved. So his stocks improving a loss. A loss for people that bet on him, loss for himself, and loss for maybe the MMA community. In my eye, it's a very big W for me for Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Getting that takedown and being able to extend himself. Like I said, crucial takedown. Like, similar situation, you be in a tight matchup like that, a lot of times that takedown would have sealed the decision for him, or for a lot of people. So, and he did outland him. So, yeah, give him his roses. Brandon Royval versus Matt Schnell. Got it right. I'm not even going to go too much into that. And matter of fact, I'm not going to that. Then my biggest L, what is my fifth loss? My biggest L of the night, Chieson versus Dumont. Macy Chiason. I'm making people names. I'm saying I just call her Chaozu. So Macy Chiason versus Norma Dumont. Yeah, with this one, I think the biggest factor I slept on here is the height. Well, not the biggest factor I slept on was the fact that this was not at 35. This is at 45. And at 45, Chiason was the best version of herself. I feel like 135, she was cutting herself down for no reason. I guess she didn't want to fight Cyborg so quick and get destroyed. And she would get destroyed to this day by Cyborg, but she didn't want to, I guess, for whatever reason, the division only had like 2 people in there, so she would have had to probably fight Cyborg in like 2 fights or in her debut because there's nobody in that division. So she's like, let me just go down to 135. And yeah, I feel like 135, she was draining herself. You go back 145, she looked better. I still feel like in this case she could have lost this fight, but ultimately she did enough, and Dumont didn't. That's the factor. Like Dumont, you could have. It is a little bit of argument for her, but the right person won. Chiesa. But Dumont was giving up takedowns, didn't show no urgency. There was so many positions where it was opportunity for Dumont to take the position, but was lazy or just lacked initiative in those moments where she could have took a position and maybe rolled the top position, maybe held down a little bit better, maybe even a little bit heavier on top. Maybe try to get the half guard and be heavy on the half guard, or like just work for something to establish some type of position. So Dumont, like matter of fact, she would have some good opportunities and just allow Dumont to not Dumont, but allow Chiesa to be slow as well and get back and be like Chiesa be flat on her back, trying to hit a sweep. I'm not saying she's doing something, but it ain't that great a sweep. There's plenty of openings there that Dumont could have capitalized on and had top position. It made those rounds a bit closer, or made it harder to judge those rounds, and gave herself a better opportunity to, matter of fact, take the round, or again make it harder to judge, and maybe that split decision could have leaned her way, or it could have been a unanimous decision her way, and she could have been more aggressive, like she was in the third round. Matter of fact, even the third round, she was landing on shots, then she was so allowed Chance to hold her against the cage, like sink those underhooks in there, land some knees to the body, spin her off. Like I don't know what she was doing. She looked so out of it. She just looked so like her head wasn't all the way there. But anyway, Chia-san looked the best she looked in a while since she was a 145er. She's back at 145, and that's a big factor. And I think Dumont struggles with height, and also she also looked good. I mean, not look good, but she's at her better weight class. I'm gonna say she didn't look great. She looked definitely much improved, like bigger, stronger than she had at 135. Looked lighter on her feet, like she had more energy, and she had more time, I guess, focus on her skill set. Grappling looked pretty good as far as takedowns, but yeah, it was a winnable fight for Dumont, but Dumont choked, I feel. But I think the biggest factor that you can't treat, I should have went into that one treating it definitely not as a lock. It should have been high confidence at most. Matter of fact, probably average. But I think the fact that Chia-san, biggest thing I overlook with that fact that this isn't 135 Chia-san. This is a 145 Chia-san who has had time to put on some a little bit more mass. Didn't have to cut as much weight. Didn't have to cut as much weight, so she's fresher. She's focusing more on her skill set. And that probably should have brought it down to high. Probably still would lean Dumont, but that should alone should moved it from lock to high. And yeah, and as far the other stuff, I feel like that's kind of exposed Dumont in that thing, like kind of expose her weaknesses more so at 45. Who knows? Maybe those weaknesses aren't there at 135 for Dumont because she's still stronger than a lot of these women at 35. But we got Chia-san at 45. She's stronger than she is at 35, and she's stronger than most of these women at, I don't know, but still stuff to look into. This is one fight, and you could say a lot of this, say a lot of that, but you really got to see it over a couple fights to really establish what did you just see. But yeah, Dumont got some stuff to work on. Chia-san, definitely her weight class is 45. 35 is not her weight class. Leave that weight class alone. 45, no one's in there. She's talking about she's a shark in the water. There's nobody in that water. She a shark or a flamingo, whatever case she may be. In a sea that ain't got nobody in it. She beat the only other woman in the division. And then there's Nunes. And Nunes, even an unmotivated Nunes probably stops her in the first round, to be honest. So she ain't a shark. She had another fish in the division with one lioness. And that lioness gonna eat you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But yeah. Going for Chie-san, ain't impressed with either woman, but definitely feel the biggest thing from that is Chie-san is her best at 45. That's her weight class as far as weight wise. Other than that weight class ain't got nobody in it. Then went on a good streak there. Yeah, give respect to Ferguson. Like, looked good in the first round, got knocked out second round, but a legend of the game. No matter what nobody say, whether you hate Tony Ferguson, whether you dislike Tony Ferguson, whether you're a fan, not a fan, whatever the case may be, give respect to Tony Ferguson. So brutal knockout loss, but hopefully he can come back in, pick up some wins. I don't see him being no title threat ever again in the UFC. I think maybe you can find better money outside the UFC or just as a coach or something. But I think he still could pick up some wins inside the UFC. But again, title wise, I think those days are behind him. But respect to Tony Ferguson, and then gonna just talk on bad about somebody or make some jokes on somebody or put somebody down that's already down. But hey, guys, I don't know. He not making. I haven't seen him respond to any of those jokes or anything yet. But or if he ever gonna do it. But he's back on tweeting and all this stuff. So good for him. But again, respect to Tony Ferguson. And then the last fight I got wrong was Esparza versus Namajunas or Namajunas versus Esparza. And this fight reality played out a lot different than I expected. It was close and controversial, split decision like I expected. I thought it was going to lead to Namajunas because all of her rematches. You might say, oh, she won those first fights, but the Tecia Torres fight, she lost Tecia Torres the first time. I think Tecia Torres was her first loss. She rematched Tecia Torres in the UFC. Close decision. I think it was a split, but it was a close decision. It really could have been a split decision, but it was unanimous, very close decision. Joanna, she knocked her out first fight. Rematch Joanna, close fight. It wasn't a split decision, but it was very close. And a lot of people overlooked it just because she had already beat it before, so nobody was really caring about the judging for the most part. But in actuality, Joanna actually landed more shots, and actually was a very close fight. And it was actually a very, very close fight. It wasn't a case of she beat her and she beat her again so comfortably. It was a very close fight. That second fight. Then Weili Zhang, she knocked her out first fight, rematched her, very close fight. So I was thinking a very close fight, which it was. Controversy, like the other ones, in a sense. Split decision, tight fight, like fight that could be close decision or split decision, and it was a split decision. But I expected Esparza to get much more takedowns, but all it came down to being it was like a staring contest. I feel like Rose won, but especially as a champion, you gotta beat the champion. Is the old saying goes? You gotta beat the champion to become the champion. You can't just hope to coast by and point fight a champion. You gotta destroy the champion. But I guess that Esparza use some formula like I was already champion, so it's champion versus champion, and I beat you to become champion. So and I beat you again to become champion. So she used some type of advanced formula to overcome that science, overcome that formula, overcome that fraction, whatever case may be, to win. But yeah, very close odd fight. I expected more activity, a lot more activity. And I expected Esparza to get a lot more takedown. I thought it would be a case where it'd be Namajunas landing more shots on the feet, like landing some real good shots on the feet, but Esparza being able to take her to the mat almost at will or with a good success rate. And Namajunas attempting submissions off her back and maybe landing some hammer fists or like landing some hammer fists off her back, landing some elbows and stuff. And Esparza's not doing enough on the ground necessarily. So like she's on top, she's trying to land ground and pound, but Namajunas out landing her off her back, landing good elbows and stuff, attempting good submissions, locking Esparza down but not getting the submission. And I think that I thought it would be that type of split decision. Like you can lean to Esparza because she's on top and she's controlling the position necessarily, or she's in the top position, which in MMA is seen as the controlling position. So you can lean that way. But I feel like the judges were going to lean to Namajunas because she was more active on the feet, landing more shots on the feet, actually some real significant shots on the feet. On ground, she attempted some good submissions. And I think like one of those decisions like where in reality Namajunas will win off her back. I thought her takedown would have improved, but it did. In reality, it did improve. She only got taken down twice. I thought it'd be like 5, 6 takedowns from Esparza throughout the fight. That's what I thought it would be. But it was only 2, and Namajunas actually got 1 takedown. And the fact what she got in the 5th round, I thought that would have been enough to seal it for her. But and also the fight was on the ground for like 30 seconds of the fight. I thought the fight would be on the ground a lot more than it was. So much different than I thought. But the end result, close controversial decision, was pretty spot on. But Esparza won and not Namajunas. But either way, Namajunas can't be mad. I don't think Esparza should be all that. Well, matter of fact, you win a world title. No matter if you win that by split decision, DQ, you gotta have some happiness in winning the belt. Like she already had a belt on her in her house. She already has a belt in her legacy. She has a belt. But anytime you win that belt, after all that work, after all that climb, you can't just be like let the outside noise like, oh, you can't be happy about this, you can't be happy about that, you can't be happy about this. They train months and months and months, day in and day out, sacrifice. So you get that belt. Don't let nobody say nothing about how you should feel about getting that belt. So a win's a win. You got that belt. Be happy, be prideful. But I definitely think it's blood in the water, and a lot of the women in this division are seeing that fight and they're licking their chops. Like they want their rematch. Weili Zhang definitely would want either of these women. Joanna would have won either of these women. Probably not gonna get Rose, but she could definitely get Esparza and definitely like her chance against Esparza. I feel like just about every woman that's really up there right now are very much liking their odds against Esparza. And Namunez, like they probably want to fight Namunez, but they don't really care. She don't got the belt, so yeah, it's not like Namunez no big superstar that's going to generate all this money for them to fight anyway. So like they want the belt so they can expand their legacy. But if it has to come through Rose, they ain't too worried. They ain't all that like they liking their chance a lot more after that performance. But yeah, was not super impressed by that performance by the woman, but yeah, you know what I knew what to expect in that one. Controversy close, and when you fight close, that's always the other outcome that the fight can lean the other way. You feel like you did enough, but you make it close. You allow it to be close. Then you allow the judges to make their decision. And even if you don't make it close, you allow the fight to go to decision. Anytime you allow the fight to go to a decision, even if you really thoroughly win, it's always a chance that the judges could see the other way. Especially when it's that close. You're really giving the judges the opportunity to allow them to make their own decision, and it turns into a coin flip. But yeah, that's my thoughts for that fight. Main event, Oliveira versus Gaethje. Given that the scale was messed up and all that stuff, I was right on this one. So my last wrong was not Esparza, was Namajunas. I got Namajunas wrong. But then main event, went back on my, getting back on the horse with the main events. Was on a long streak. Last card ended my streak of main events corrections. And now I'm back on it. Hopefully, can extend this for a while, just like I always do. But yeah, Oliveira Gaethje. Yeah, I feel like Oliveira should have got his belt back. Like there was some issues with the scale, so why not just like, oh, it was issues with scale. It's our bad, not your bad. Here you go, your belt back. Like we're gonna let it be, let it be, let it be, because the skill was messed up, not you. You weren't overweight. The skill was messed up. They should have gave it to him, but nonetheless, Oliveira put on a championship performance, and got dropped a couple times. Got dropped once. Took a little sitting break the second time. Then you continue to march down on Gaethje, drop him, have him out. So amazing performance from Oliveira. Very amazing performance. And I was really leaning heavily to Islam Makhachev in a fight with Oliveira, but this definitely really bringing it close to 500. I'm still kind of favoring Makhachev, but Oliveira looking very, very dangerous right now, to be honest. Looking very scary right now. So I don't know. By the time the fight actually is scheduled, if it ever is scheduled, I don't know where I'm going to lean. But right now, this performance and these past performances have definitely shifted those odds down with every single performance. So yeah, definitely opened my eyes up and definitely impressed with Oliveira. And the guy, long career, great story, tough life, tough career, and now is able to, he's turning his whole career around. He went from a guy that could put a lot of wins together, but never really win the big ones and always kind of fall short. Now to a guy that's putting on great performance after great performance and getting legacy win after legacy win after legacy win. You got to rate the guy real high right now. So prior to what this year or what the last year and a half, you probably would have not even have in like what a top 5, top 10 lightweights. Now you really got to put him up for top 5 at least lightweights in UFC history, like at least top 5, at least, if not top 4, top 3. Well, I'm gonna say like at least top 5, at least top 5. So the man's up there. He has definitely overpassed a lot of guys, a lot of great lightweights in such a short time. I mean, he has been putting up the work for a long, long, long time. He's been putting in these submission wins, putting up these victories, putting up these highlight reels, fighting got like what 30 fights or more in the UFC. And now again, Ding was missing with the legacy wins. He had the title, so all props to Oliveira, like a guy that did not give up. And now at the highest level, when the going gets tough, he's battling through and he's getting these big wins. So Oliveira is definitely, an inspiration and a great fighter, a legend, and has established himself and has held himself to be such. So good one for him. And also, just a little dig, Gaethje was talking all that trash and made him tap out. So no insult to Gaethje, but just saying that's just Oliveira's go out there, you know, getting the job done and doing it with his skill set. Not doing it on Twitter or doing anything like that, getting it done in the cage using his skill set. So props to Oliveira for doing what he has been doing as of late and what he has been doing throughout his career. Like, because his career he didn't just start winning and doing spectacular thing just now. It's just like he just needed that missing part, and he seemingly has gotten that. As a matter of fact, he has gotten that because at this point his legacy is already sealed. But anything further than this, just further steps in legacy. And in reality, he's not that far from being the lightweight GOAT. He's not that far. Like he's not that far. And some places, there's a good case he could be the lightweight GOAT right now, but don't want to get too close. Like matter of fact, he like 2 or 3 wins, maybe get the belt back, 2, 3 wins, or matter of fact, get the belt back and maybe a win or two. Matter of fact, even just get the belt back in 1 win or get the belt back. Like I said, he's so close. Like I said, he could already be declared that, but if you really want to submit that, he ain't that far from really submitting that. And it's not about being undefeated. It's about what you do in your career. Because it's not about the guy who did the best and then left. And it's not no dig to be this for anybody. It's not the guy who did the best and with least mistakes. I mean, that's a big factor. That's why a lot of these guys that don't have any losses are ranked so high and respected so highly because they have this aura of I'm invincible. I never lost, but everybody can lose. No one's invincible. It's that you just you fought smart enough. You did what you had to do, and you were able to get out of it without losing. But that don't mean that this being undefeated is the end all be all. I much more respect a guy that maybe had 10 losses, 5 losses, 4 losses, 6, 7, even 15 losses. Went out there, won belts in multiple weight classes, defended the belt 10, 15 times versus a guy that went undefeated, defended the belt twice, and then left. And didn't really even fight on people this is a little bit of a dig to be for a lot of people. None of them were really stylistic tests for him. Before a lot of strikers, didn't really fight no wrestler grapplers, and for nobody that really didn't really fight no guy with like 90%, 100% takedown, really legendary wrestling background. He didn't really fight nobody that was a stylistic struggle for him. Went undefeated, and then left before they could really establish left in their prime. Like they didn't really test it too much. And then and that's a dig directly at Khabib. But yeah, do I still actually low key would think Khabib would beat him? But yeah, like it's what you do, not what you the whole thing that he's undefeated. So technically, since he's undefeated, since he's undefeated, you just gotta assume he beats everyone. That's not how it works. Much more respect the guy that actually goes out there and does it. Win, loses, but goes out there and does more. I'm a favorite that. Like just because you went undefeated, definitely not making you factor hopping and pound for pound. But say you lose now, like what edge do you have? But that other guy, 15 losses. I mean, he don't have 15. Well, I'm getting too far off. I'm getting dragging it too much. But anywho, I respect the guy that's gonna go out, and I feel like everyone should respect the guy that went out there and goes out there and really tests himself against everybody, not trying to pick any fights or trying to take a year off, take this off, for whatever reason may be, or it's like trying to skip their way through. But the guy that goes through the full forest, it makes it to the promised land, and then stays in that promised land, taking every single comer that comes their way and prevailing. Because martial arts is not about being undefeated. It's about the journey. It's about constantly bettering yourself with each and every fight. And every single day you're supposed to be better than you were the next day, the last day. And it's just part of development. But hey, again, dragging it. But that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Also, again, 9-5, 9-14. Going to look again to be better the next card. But that's the video. Peace.